put it on the scale, which read 65 pounds. Throughout the trip, it would fluctuate depending on what I was carrying from 60 to 75 pounds. This was my first warning sign of what I'd signed up for. Weighing 65 pounds, my backpack was more than half my body weight. After the first 3 days, I realized my backpack had been adjusted incorrectly. As a result, my back and hips had been in unbelievable pain. The skin on the sides of my hips had been rubbed off, and my back and shoulders were sore. Once it was adjusted properly, it was much easier to hike with. Another challenge was that I had huge blisters on my feet, especially on my ankles. After 2 weeks, they went away, but they were a constant pain. It was after this that I wrote my journal. Today was one of the hardest days of my life. I can't wait to go home. I think it will be better. It's freezing cold and rain sometimes. The cold is the hardest. No bugs. Solid pronghorn. Shoulders and hips sore. Probably getting foot blisters soon. Hope it gets warmer. Looking forward to pretty views. By a lake now. Weather windy. Certainly the cold was the hardest. One night our sleeping bags froze as we were sleeping. Even worse, I hadn't packed enough warm clothing. After all, it was summer. One night in my insulated sleeping bag, I saw the 3 pairs of socks with a shirt tied around my feet, with 2 layers of warm pants, 2 layers of warm shirts and a coat, gloves, a head wrap, and a hat, and I still couldn't fall asleep. But the worst, most unexpected weather condition for me was the snow. Over the winter, the Wind River Range, where we were hiking, experienced a record snowfall with a 300% snow coverage. This made hiking and setting up tents much harder. Snow was slippery, and when on a step, we could fall into what we called elephant traps, where it looked like solid footing with snow that actually covered up deep holes. Mentally, physically, and socially, my trip was draining. Some days we would get up at 5 in the morning, cook and eat a small breakfast, hike all day with no lunch, and get to the new campsite after dark. This, combined with processed dry food, made me sick at one point, and 2 of my friends were so sick that they were considered for evacuation. Even when we were hiking all day and were hungry, we had to try to be friendly to each other. It was super hard, and I saw the worst of everyone, and they saw the worst of me. There were only 2 other girls. The other 8 were all guys. We all got along great, and our gender difference wasn't a problem. Although many of the guys were physically stronger, I didn't let that stop me. Surprisingly, I was usually at the front of the line, making the first steps in the snow up steep hills for everyone. I'm super proud of how I did, and my proudest accomplishment was that myself, along with 2 other guys, were the only ones who were able to summit all 5 peaks during our trip. Summiting peaks was super hard, and we could be going up more than 1,000 feet on snow in a short amount of time. I did anything to distract myself from the pain that I was experiencing. I would talk with others, think about all the food that I was going to eat when I got back, or learn the latest rap lyrics from the guys. During the last 2 weeks of the trip, we started hiking without our instructors. On one of these days, my group members and I were about to start the hike up a saddle between 2 mountains before we were able to pass them. Unfortunately, we could see dark storm clouds over the pass, so we decided to wait it out. Beforehand, we had done a river crossing where the water had been up to my chest. With not enough time to dry off, the temperature dropped and I was freezing. Soon it started hailing and snowing. Every minute seemed like an hour to me. I felt so far from home, so far from the everyday comforts that it brought me. In my head, I prayed to God that He would stop the storm and help me get through it. Within minutes, the storm passed. We hiked through the paths, and I saw grass for the first time in 2 weeks. Another difficult day was during our independent expedition, where we hiked and camped for 4 days without our instructors. We had been hiking fast all day, and when we found our campsite, there was no water nearby like it had said on the map. All of our water bottles were empty, and there was no snow anymore. Warily, we ended up hiking 6 more miles down a steep ravine with thick brush until we found the lake. Hiking 6 miles seemed like a little bit, but it took hours with the circumstances that we were in. I was super dehydrated, and I felt sick. Once we found water, we hiked through deep mud, steep rock faces, and clouds of mosquitoes along the lake for a better campsite. I was so tired. Soon we were faced with a tough river crossing. Tree trunks were floating on the river, and they were our only way to cross. In order to not fall off, we had to follow each other's exact footsteps. It was really scary. But I knew that God was looking out for me, and it worked out. After this, we found ourselves in a flooded grassland. One of my group members was in the front. He took one step and ended up neck deep in water. They tried pulling him out, and in doing so, someone else fell in. which we treated as best as we could. It was the hardest day of my life. Although my experience was incredibly hard, I want to do something like it again. It was so challenging, but I was really proud of myself and learned so much that it was worth it to me. Throughout the trip, I wrote these notes in my journal. The hike today seemed intimidating, but I did it. Even if something seems impossible, try it. One day at a time. I miss music, friends, family, and privacy, but I'm getting stronger, more optimistic, and tougher. Gold does not last forever. When I get back, I want to listen to music right away. It's really what keeps me going sometimes. I can't wait to eat a hamburger, text my family, and wear jeans. Nature is beautiful, but very scary. Since this trip, I've learned that nothing is impossible with God's help. I've had hard moments after this trip too, and ever since I've done what I did, I've realized that anything is possible. Although most of you will avoid such difficult experiences in nature, we will all experience great difficulty in life. Whether it's the death of a family member, choosing your vocation, physical injuries, or nagging health problems, losing a close friend, an addiction, or struggling with your self-image, life can be super hard, and we have to decide how we will respond. If we turn to God, surrender the situation, and ask Him to help, we can come out of this difficulty better than we were before. God doesn't promise that life will be easy or that He will stop our suffering, but God does promise that He will be with us and love us through our times in the wilderness, just like He did for me. God can provide the strength, wisdom, and motivation for us to persevere and grow from our periods of difficulty. If we stay positive, take it one step at a time, and trust in God, we will